like smell good. And today I'm so excited. We're gonna have Kelly Benson. She is the founder of Mindful Earth Herbals. She's a yoga instructor too. She's an herbalist, a medicine woman. She's a mother, a farmer. And so thank you, Kelly, for being here with us today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And so let's start with if you want to tell us a little bit about your story and how do you start this whole farming, thinking about like why do you decide to start Mindful Earth Herbals?
Oh, wow, where to begin? Um, my current business was an accident. So my story started, I come from, um, I spent my 20s living the life of a narcotic drug addict. So I had open heart surgery when I was 21, and then I that followed with an addiction to opiates, and that led further to other things, and I wasted a good majority of my 20s doing that. So um, when I was 27, I got sober. Well, not sober. I'm a medical cannabis advocate, but and I was still taking SSRI medications and birth control and Adderall and benzodiazepines. The doctors had me on a nice cocktail of things that were not benefiting me at all the whole time. It led probably to further seeking harder substances, even.
Mhm.
So I was at a point where I was trying to leave that behind, and had been 15 years of being on those medications and using drugs to numb myself from the trauma I experienced when I was young. So I needed support, and I needed non-harmful, natural, accessible, safe support. And that is where my journey with yoga and herbal medicine came into play. Yoga was my first thing that pulled me out of that cycle of addiction. I did not resonate with mainstream recovery programs. I could not grasp it, no matter how hard I tried, and yoga provided that missing spiritual aspect for me. Um, so it allowed me really to get to know myself and to take a really good look at myself. And then herbal medicine kind of came a little bit later. 2013, I believe, is when I first started playing around with plant medicine. And it was because I was trying to find natural mental health support for myself. And it started with lemon balm. I found it in my garden. I didn't know what it was. I was so drawn to it, so attracted to it every day. And I found out what it was. And I started just like going down the plant medicine rabbit hole, and it never stopped. I mean, once you start learning that there's literally all the weeds, all the things that you were taught are weeds in your yard, when you start learning that those are actually potent, like medicinal plants that greatly support the functions of the body, your mind is just like blown. So I just, yeah, I'm mostly self-trained. I have done some intermediate advanced apprenticeships locally in
Mhm.
person with a mentor. And other than that, I'm completely self-trained. Anyone can be an herbalist. Anyone can practice herbal medicine. It is not something that you need a certification for in this country. It's free. It's people's medicine. It's free for everyone. So I encourage anyone listening to just pick a plant and start learning about it. That's how my journey started. And the business started because I was just making stuff for myself and for my friends and my family. And it literally just organically kind of exploded very quickly from there.
That is awesome. I mean, thank you for sharing your story. I knew a little bit about it, but I wasn't, I didn't know the whole story. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I
Yeah.
almost feel like all of these healers now and people that, finds themselves looking for an alternative, it's because their own story, what happens to us, like we get sick or something. And I feel like intuitively we feel like we need to look for something that just chemicals or like the medicine that might work for some, but most of the time it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I mean, I find it fascinating because I'm a Mexican background, so I live with herbs. Like, growing up, if you were sick, grandma will just go outside and be like, "Hey, this herb, just chew this and chew on this herb, and the stomach will go away." Or if you
Yeah.
were like, sore throat or something, she will get some tomatillo, toasted, or what, I think she will grill it or something, and she will rub it under my foot, like off the bottom of my foot. And then the next day, you were fine. You were ready to go outside and play, right? So I feel like a lot of us have lost touch with that earth and humans connection. We think sometimes things are easy as like, oh, you are in pain. Just take this medicine and I'll go away. But
Backward.
I think the planet has provided us with everything that we need, not as
Yes.
from the lab, because I know that's also from the earth, but that's a little bit more on the manufacturer side. But I think
Yeah.
we're very well made to go outside and find answers within, you know,
Yeah.
the
Our
garden, the herbs.
heal themselves. I mean, our bodies are designed to heal themselves if the conditions are supportive enough. I feel like all of the food that we eat, particularly in the United States culture, the food, the excessive use of pharmacological medication, it's excessive. Like, let's be honest, it's excessive.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
it just further disconnects us from that earth connection. So
Yeah, yeah. I think we all need to kind of like go back to the basics.
yeah,
Like if you do have a stomachache, perhaps just have a chamomile and that will go away. Or just
yeah,
look at what's the actual reason of why we're having like all these problems, as
yeah,
opposed to look for like a little patch and be like, oh, okay, you have cancer, do this. Oh, you're an addict. Okay, just do this. You know,
exactly.
just look
Start
for the answers.
start asking why, instead of just treating the symptoms, asking why is this, what's causing this, why is this happening.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. And then I have a question because I was also reading into these herbal supplements and all that. Going back a little to your story, where you say you were an addict of all these medicine. There's also some herbs that, even though they're natural and they're made to kind of like help us with some sort of like pain or symptoms or whatever. I know there's some of them that you can also get addicted to them, right?
of course, yes, yes, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. Um, I feel like the first plant medicine that comes to mind, and that will the first plant medicine that comes to mind in that regard is kratom or kratom. People pronounce it differently.
Mhm.
Um, I work with it very closely. I have a lot of chronic pain patients that use it very successfully. It's tricky. I was hesitant to offer it publicly, but I'm very thankful that I did, because the success in the few people that and anyone that I offer this to, I go through an extensive kind of questioning process. I don't just give it to anyone, because that would be irresponsible of me. And I'm not offering it for the monetary benefit, as opposed to the fact that these people are now contacting me, telling me, like, thank you, I haven't slept in 13 years. Like, pharmacological traditional opioid therapy was not working for me. It was having adverse effects. And this is a plant that's appropriate in a case like that. Now, I would not give it to anyone. I wouldn't give it
Mhm.
to someone who's sober from drugs for a period of time. I would not give it to anyone that has anxiety or like some mild pain. It would be inappropriate in cases like that. But there are specific cases that I feel like it's such a lifesaver. These people are just like, wow, you gave me like my quality of my life back. I can function and feel good. And that brings me peace, and that makes me feel grateful that I decided to go against kind of the mainstream norm in that sense and offer that. I think that's the one that comes to mind most as far as being physically addictive, because you do it's well, it's not an opiate. Well, it's not an opiate. It acts like an opioid in the body. It attaches to the mu receptors in the brain. So you do experience withdrawal symptoms if you're using it consistently. But saying that, it's much gentler on the organs, it's much gentler on the systems of the body in general than any pharmacological traditional opioid therapy would be.
Right.
It's much easier and safer to also detox from or come off of. If I mean, some people that have that level of chronic pain for long term, some people need something
Hmm.
for a daily. I mean, and I would rather it be that than something that's going to have great adverse health effects, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I think even though, as you said, some of herbs like this one can be addictive at times if you abuse them, right? Uh,
Anything, right?
yeah, even food, right? With a lot of people
Literally,
is addictive to food.
it's misused with the wrong intention and purpose. It's that's you know, it's just the
Yeah.
way it is.
I think with all the products, whether they're herbal or natural or whatever, I think, as a consumer, we should definitely take a look at what's gonna do to us if there's side effects or if they're addictives in this case.
Yeah,
Um, Also, I love CBD and I
yeah,
love hemp products and all that. And I feel like a lot of people, going with this that we're talking about, that they're addictive. And some people have the misconception that, CBD, you're going to get high or you're going to get addicted to it. I think it has been demonized for so long that
yeah,
a lot of people doesn't see the actual properties and the beneficial ingredients and chemicals that this can be, that our body can have by
yeah,
taking them. I know you have some of those CBD products used for supplements and cosmetics like creams and all that. Um,
yeah,
and they're great. I just received some of your products and I love them, for especially for my face. We always look into natural products, that doesn't have all these chemicals that at the long run, the skin is our biggest organ in the body. So
yeah,
by putting anything on our skin, even taking a shower, right? If your shower, tap water has all these chemicals, at some point you're gonna absorb them. So it is important to know what we're putting or what we're taking, right? Oral. Um, what do you find the best uses for CBD in your products?
oh goodness, I offer probably over 40 or 50 different things alternating at this point. There is some hesitation. When I first started offering CBD, it was at the very, very beginning of before it blew up.
Hmm.
Um, so there were a lot of people that were hesitant. Um, but if they just need a little more education, if they're educated on how it affects the body
Hmm.
and what it can provide, then they would not feel that way. Um, our bodies have what we call an endocannabinoid system. So throughout the human body and mammals, all mammals, even animals, there are cannabinoid receptors all through the peripheral um, nervous system, the organs, the brain. So when you ingest CBD or anything cannabis, any type of there's hundreds of cannabinoids in the cannabis plant: CBD, THC, CBG. These are just a few of them, the more popular ones.
Right.
But just CBD, it attaches to the cannabinoid receptors, and
Mhm.
what it basically does, this system is responsible for keeping your body balanced in a state of homeostasis. So when you take CBD, if there's an imbalance somewhere within your system, it helps to bring that back to a balanced state. Um, it's also amazing for skincare. A lot of cannabinoid receptors through the skin. So
Yeah,
done.
those are great. I
Yeah.
love me some CBD on my face, definitely. I know, going back to your yoga instructor, and do you use any of this like products as you do yoga or?
So I mean, I use all of my products daily. I alternate all of them, but as far I haven't taught I'm about to start teaching again next week, and I haven't taught in 6 years. So I'm definitely going to be incorporating some probably like CBD massage in Savasana, maybe have like a tea type thing beforehand or something. I'm definitely going to get creative with it and find ways to fuse both of my passions together. Yeah.
That is great. I
Yeah.
haven't tried those teas with the CBD, but I'm definitely open for that. I'm sure
Well,
there.
honey, gotta get one of those.
I
They're
know. You have really, really amazing products. And then yes, and so now that you're recovered, you're a businesswoman. I mean, you're a entrepreneur, and you've done really, really great for yourself, I think. How does that what's the impact in your family now?
the impact of my family as far as my business goes.
Yeah.
Um, I work from home, so
Mm-hmm.
that's one benefit. I recently, well, within the last 2 years, I split up from my children's father, and so I'm on my own on a 12-acre farm now. I have a beautiful roommate who we kind of live kind of a community style. She has a daughter who's my son's age. Um, and the kids have been helping me like put labels on jars and stuff, and I'm gonna put them to work in the garden this year. But it's good to work from home because I don't I'm with them even when I'm working if I have to, you know?
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And
And then,
also it's
mhm,
good to teach them what medicine should be like. I mean, neither one of my children have ever had a pharmaceutical medication. They've never had an antibiotic. The only over the counter or pharmacological medication they have had is probably Motrin, like liquid Motrin when they were teething that my mother gave them. Like they've never had anything. They don't get sick. They're completely detached from the Western medical paradigm for the most part. And they know when they need medicine. It's like a tincture. When they get starting to feel like they're getting a cold, they know to get their elderberry syrup. Like they know, even with the cannabis. I had 500 plants here last year. They know it's medicine. Their father is also in the cannabis industry, and they're growing up just looking at it differently than a drug, like a gateway drug, you know?
right. I think that's really important, especially for kids to yeah, to see, instead of seeing cannabis as like, oh, this is what you do when you're older or whatever. See it as like it's a plant, like any other plant that you could grow outside your house, and it's something that you use to either benefit you or not. Like, kind of like it's your choice, right? Like, I think with everything too, that we could actually farm.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, no plant, no medication at all is one size fits all. And I feel like when people are thrown all into the same box and expected to all react the same way from one medication, it's just a slippery slope.
Yeah, for sure. Especially going back a little bit to the all this pain medicine that people are being prescribed, right? Um, so what do you do for pain now?
Um, I have a variety of topical products for localized pain relief. There's a lot of herbs aside from CBD and cannabis that can assist in pain relief. There's herbs specific to nerve related pain, arthritis, and things like that. And there's plants specific to the musculoskeletal system and bone and joint and muscle pain and stuff like that. So there's a variety of plants that I work with for pain. Yeah, I have a bunch of different tincture formulations. It's really dependent on the type of pain. But if there's a pill, there's a plant that can if there's a pill, there's a plant that can do it better and more gently and
Yes,
work like the plants. The difference is the pills kind of go in, mask the symptoms and create more
right.
symptoms, you know?
Yeah.
Plants kind of go in and intuitively work with the natural rhythms of your body and kind of give your body the nudge and the push to heal itself. Like it kind of it that's how I look at plants. They work with the body rather than being something foreign and not earth-based introduced and maybe masking symptoms temporarily, but causing a myriad of other problems.
Right, right. And what are your for everybody that's listening, what is something that they can maybe plant at home if they have like a space in their house for like, I don't know, maybe pain, headaches, something like that?
Um, for let's see, some plants, it depends on the region you're in, but
Mm-hmm.
some that are good to use for pain. I'm thinking of like meadowsweet, white willow bark is
Yeah.
pretty acceptable. Um, headaches, feverfew comes to mind. Solomon seal is pretty accessible. It's in the lily family. Um, Solomon seal root that is, that's really it's an amphoteric plant, so it's specific to tendons and ligaments and kind of um, releasing and loosening or tightening. It literally this plant literally an amphoteric plant means it does what the body needs it to. So if you take this plant and your tendons are loose and it's causing inflammation, need to be tightened, it will tighten them. And if they're
Mm-hmm.
too tight and it's causing pain, it will loosen them. So they're just I mean, they're yeah, they have a special sort of intelligence of their own. It's really
Yeah.
it's deep. It's not so surface. It's more complex and deeper, and there's more of an energetic aspect to it as well, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That is actually a great plan. I don't think I know much about that. I'll probably definitely put it on our show notes if anyone wants to research a little bit about, a little bit more about that and perhaps plan it on their house or look for it.
Yeah. Nettles is also a really good one that's pretty abundant, stinging nettle. Um, people, I mean, if you brush by it when you're outside, it will cause pain, it will sting you. But if you harvest it and dry the leaves or even use the fresh leaves in a soup, or I do nettle infusions overnight, that's like really great for inflammation and pain. I have nettles in one of my pain tinctures as well. So there's a lot of really accessible plants that can support reducing inflammation in the body.
That is great. Will those also be recommended for people that has like lupus and like other autoimmune disorder that is caused by inflammation?
Yeah, I would say that nettle in particular, and herbs like red raspberry, oats, moringa I've been using in my infusions. They're very, very high in mineral and vitamins. So just
Right.
resaturating the organs and just like flooding the body with really dense minerals and vitamins, because the majority of the population is also very mineral deficient, and that can contribute to imbalances and inflammation as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really important point. Some of my journey that I started, I was pretty sick from my stomach. Nobody knew what I had, and
Well,
yeah,
been there.
yeah, it's great, right? That you go to the doctor, they want to give you all these medicines, they want to test you for everything, and at the end of the day, they're like, well, it might be this or that, and there's never like a solution, but there's a
Yeah,
lot of bills behind all
and I
this.
tell the Western medical, they are clueless. No offense. I do not mean to like offend anyone or trigger anyone, but clueless when it comes to the gastrointestinal system. Like completely clueless. They
Yeah.
don't know. They make people feel crazy. This is probably the 100th story I've heard of people having like they
Yeah.
tested everything. They don't know what's wrong with me. I went through a similar experience. I went through probably 10 different doctors
Yeah.
that could me, and they wanted to give me a permanent colostomy bag. And thankfully, I'm smarter than that. And I was like, I'm going to spend the money. And I ended up seeing a functional medicine provider, and
Yes.
he was able to provide the correct testing, diagnose me in one round of tests, and heal me basically naturally. So I feel like Western medicine, particularly, I'm particularly talking about the gastrointestinal um,
Yeah, for
system,
sure. For
because I just hear it over and over again. I hear it from people.
yeah, I definitely agree on that. I feel like in for some reason, I mean, it's not new. We all know that our medical industry here, it's more about the symptoms and less about actually finding the solution.
And the
Go ahead.
and the money, I said, the symptoms and the money.
Yeah, definitely.
That
And then I mean, I almost feels like the test that they should be like every time, like if someone has any uh IG problems or anything like that, they should do stool tests, urine tests, blood tests, and see really what's going on, right? And those are
yeah,
like the three tests like you never get tests for till
e
like years later.
even if so in my experience, they did do stool tests
Oh,
for
they do.
me.
Okay.
It did not, well, after a couple rounds of me going and telling them to, but and it still showed nothing, and they made me feel like I was absolutely insane. And it's really just because if you know what you're looking for based on symptoms, which the doctor that I ended up seeing
Mhm.
did, he was able to provide the correct testing to find exactly what we were looking for. And due to insurance purposes and other restrictions within the Western medical paradigm, they don't have access to those particular tests, or they don't know about them,
Right.
so yeah, that's been my experience as
Yeah.
well as what I know. So
Hmm. Yeah, I think definitely if there's someone out there listening to us, and if you've been having like any digestive problems, definitely know that you're not alone, and there's a lot of alternative ways to actually heal the gut with it. Whether is with certain supplements or herbs or even like the diet, right? Because our diet
I,
plays a big role in our healing. So yeah, definitely take a look at the whole thing. Stop for a minute, see how you're feeling, see who could really is there to help you, right? All the physicians, we could go through a million of them. I mean, I have family members that are MD. My mom, she's a retired nurse, and you know, as there is good herbalists, there might be other ones that are less experienced. There's good MDs, there's bad MDs, there's good and bad of everything. And
yep,
overall, is
yep,
that the point is, in this case, is just look for what's working for you, see what's really being beneficial, and go from there, right? When you're having a problem, and know that there's a lot of alternatives.
yeah. I also suggest finding a practitioner or a provider that's going to look at you as a whole being and not
Yes.
just a part of you. Because I feel like another thing is in Western medicine, they tend to isolate you. Like, oh, we're just going to take into account your symptoms and this one symptom system of the body, when really it's all connected. You have to take, it's like whole being, whole body treatment and inquiry, you
Yes.
know?
Really important point to make.
Yeah.
I'm almost done with the massage therapist program myself, and
Nice.
thanks. And one of the main things that our instructors tell us is like, when someone comes for a back pain, just know that it's not just the back pain.
Yeah.
It might be their hips, their ankles, their shoulders, uh, anything other than the actual back. And when you treat for one thing, is like you said, It's not like we're separate. It's not like we're gonna take our hip and give it to the doctor and be like, hey, fix my hip or fix my arm, I'll be back, right? So
Exactly.
it's a whole thing. Like you always have to, it's really important actually to really for everyone to understand that our body it's one piece. It's not
Yeah.
a thing that you can put it in pieces, right? So when it
Yeah.
comes down to healing, you also, you don't want to just heal your eye or your left toe. It's like, I'm going to heal the whole thing because everything is connected to everything.
And
So,
then there's also the
mhm,
energetic, there's the emotional body, there's the mental body. So there's not just the physical body as well to take into account. You need to take into account the person's trauma history, their stress levels, what their
mhm,
lifestyle is like, and
yeah,
all these other things
mhm,
contribute to that problem. So
yeah, for
yeah.
sure. It's not just or physical symptoms, now like everything, it's combined with everything too. Like as we're a whole, our whole body it's one thing. Also, when we talk about optimal health, it's not just like, oh yeah, it's the body. No, because also your mind plays a big part on your healing.
Yeah.
Whatever spiritual beliefs you have also is gonna play a big role on how you're healing. In
Yeah.
this case, like you're talking about like the herbs and how like they have the energy and how we connect with them, right? So it's this whole thing about how we heal ourselves and how we should think about it in these times now that we have all the information, right? We take it
Yeah.
as it's our body, it's our mind, it's our spirit, what we believe, what we don't believe is going to
And
affect us in all ways.
and ultimately it's our responsibility. See, everybody wants a quick fix. They're like, oh, the doctor is going to give me an easy fix. And it's like, this is your body, this is your responsibility. And if you want to heal, you have to do the work,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure. That's a really really important point. Take responsibility. This is your
Yeah.
body. You can't be one of those that complain and are like, well, I have a whatever autoimmune disorder, and yeah, it sucks for you that you have something like that, right? But it's now the choice that you take with the knowledge that you can acquire by researching, like what's gonna really make my body feel better, what's gonna be
Yeah.
that one thing that is gonna help me, right? It almost
Yep.
like doesn't suck what we have because we all have like different journeys, we all have different illnesses at times, events that happen, emotional, physical, whatever. But now it's like take the responsibility and ask yourself, what am I doing today to help me a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah, to be better
Definitely.
as
Yep.
a whole. So
Yeah. And it's
is
really empowering when you learn to view your own health in a different way, you know?
yeah, for sure. And then quick question also, I know most of the things you're learning by yourself, which is I find it like awesome. I think when you want something, you just go for it. You don't need that school for it. That's one things that my dad will always say. If you want to do something, just go and do it. Right? You need the whole schooling. Um, what do you recommend for all those people that perhaps want to, um, know more about how to do their own things at home with like herbs and all these maybe products that you make? Is there something that they could do? Like, can they just go on your website or find someone that can like teach them about medicine or herbs and all that?
Yeah, I mean, their information out there is pretty endless. I there are a lot of online herbal schools that are really, really great and have really
Mhm.
great, well laid out, well-rounded programs. I've looked
Okay,
at a couple of them.
nice.
Um, there's a lot of herbalists that are really focused on education that have Patreons. I was going to do that and then I did not. I'm really trying to shift my current um, career into more of an educational place rather than focus so much on product making. So
Mhm.
I'm in that transition now, but um literally, like, I think I just got books, I started researching, I stuck with really safe plants that didn't have a lot of contraindications,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of plants that will interact with pharmaceutical medications, and there's plants that will harm the liver if you take too much of it. So there's definitely, I think that the way I did it, and my specialty, my
Mhm.
passion is mental health, emotional wellness, and pain. Those are the
Right.
plants that I feel like I'm most drawn to because that's what I needed. That's where I started. Um, I started by needing to help myself. So I feel like the best advice is, what are you looking to support within your own life? What ailments or symptoms are you wanting, um, support for, and start there. Find a couple plants that are specific to that area and just start anywhere. Really, like
Yeah.
you just kind of start. If it's something that interests you and intrigues you, once you start, it will be pretty hard to stop.
Is one of those, right? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Um, well, this has been amazing, very informative. I love all the information. I'm a big fan of yours, honestly. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience?
No, that was great. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thanks for asking me to be on.
No, thank you. And if someone is looking for you, where can they find you?
I'm my Instagram is at mindful earth underscore Maine, as in the state, MAINE. And then my website is mindfulearthme.com. So ME for Maine again, mindfulearthme.com. And yeah,
That
that's
is
it.
That is awesome. Thank you for being here today. If you want to know more about all this episode, I will put all these details on the show notes. And also,
Perfect.
if you want to find me, you can also find me as Alex Valgood on Facebook and Instagram. And also, if you want to check out my website, you can go at alexvalgood.com. And thank you. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Let me go ahead and